Good evening, I'm Katerina Georgieva. Welcome to CBC Windsor News. Our city no longer has the highest unemployment rate in the country. It fell last month by more than a full percentage point, putting us now in the number 2 spot. That is according to the latest numbers from Statistics Canada. The jobless rate now sits at slightly above 10%. One labor expert says while it is good to see the rate moving down, dig deeper and the data is concerning.
Unemployment rate did fall, but not really for the right reasons. There are fewer people looking for work. We've saw 3,000 fewer people looking for work this month.
Falconer says job seekers could be taking a break, or it could speak to pessimism in the labor market. He adds there were worrying losses, particularly in the helping sectors. That includes healthcare, social services, and education. Education led the losses, seeing a dip of 3,200 positions in that sector last month. One bright spot in the data, Windsor-Essex saw an increase in youth employment. And July was also a good month for one sector in particular in Windsor-Essex, a sign of resilience in the face of ongoing economic uncertainty. There's positive news in local real estate. July was the best month so far this year. Local experts say it's a sign things are on the upswing.
We had elections, we've got tariff talk, we had a whole bunch of things that kind of stagnated that market a little bit, like just stifled it a little. Even though we still have a lot of uncertainty in regards to tariffs and things of that nature, I think everybody is still realizing, well, I guess this is the new norm. And so we're just gonna not wait and not sit on the fence.
According to the president of the local Realtors Association, after about a 3-month delay, things are getting more back to normal now. July had the most sales activity so far this year, 504 sales to be exact. And the average sale price of a home was about $592,000. That's slightly less than the same time last year, but the highest we've seen so far for 2025.
You have a lot of buyers that were waiting for the bottom to fall out, and the bottom's not falling out. And so they've been sitting on the fence long enough, and they're like, well, interest rates are still pretty good right now, and I still have a job, things are stable enough. Why not take the opportunity now? Because you're seeing a lot of good opportunity in prices.
For homes under $600,000, Biondo says it's still a seller's market. Multiple offers and homes selling above asking price. The next price range up, $600K to $1 million, is more of a balanced market, with the $1 million+ price range a buyer's market. Biondo says it's a great opportunity for entry-level homeowners to upgrade. Realtor Kareem Adeptu is also happy to see that buyers have regained their confidence.
Now, because we have so much inventory, buyers have the opportunity to shop around, now negotiate a little bit more, put in more conditions with their offers. And then on the flip side with sellers, the conversation is more so we have to start pricing strategically, really understand the market and the comms, because if we don't price it well, we're going to be sitting on the market for a long time, and it's not going to be a fun time.
As for what's in store for the rest of the year, well, according to the Realtors Association, that's tough to say, but the president predicts good and steady numbers for the months ahead. Colette Kennedy is with us now for our first look at weather. And Colette, if you're there, do we have you, Colette?
I am here.
Okay, perfect. We're officially back in a heat warning. I was like, I don't see you there. Okay. How's it going?
It's going well, and I'm telling you, it's going to get warm. I mean, really warm. I know today wasn't exactly cool. Temperature we'll round it up to 30 degrees, and that humidex value up to 38, but this is where we're headed, so a heat warning in place. Highs of 30 to 34, lows near 19 to 23, and that humidex value, I think, on several days maybe over 40. Tonight 21. We kick this off tomorrow by afternoon, some hazy skies and those winds out of the south. 32, feeling like that 40. The important thing here is this may be a multi-day event all the way into mid next week. I'll have more details coming up, and I'll be here.
Thanks as always, Colette. Appreciate it. A new health facility has been announced for Windsor, making some key procedures more accessible to those who need them. CBC's Dalton Chen has more.
A new internal diagnostic center in Windsor will help lower local wait times for gastrointestinal medical procedures, according to Windsor-Tecumseh MPP Andrew Dowie. Ramp endoscopy is expected to open at the Windsor Professional Center on Howard Avenue next year. It's one of 57 privately owned medical service providers across Ontario receiving new licenses for imaging, scanning, or scoping. Dowie says it's about getting people the diagnoses they need sooner.
For far too long, Wait times for essential diagnostic procedures like endoscopies, MRIs, and CT scans have been a challenge for patients in our community. And we know that early diagnosis and timely treatment can make a life-changing difference. But that only happens when people can get the tests and the procedures that they need when they need them.
According to Dowie's announcement, the province is investing $155 million across Ontario over the next 2 years to help establish the new facilities. In Windsor, licenses have also been approved for 2 other private centers. RAMP, which stands for Rapid Assessment and Management Program, was founded by Dr. Wasim Saad, who is Chief of Staff at Windsor Regional Hospital. Saad says having more licensed centers means more jobs and also means less pressure on the hospital system.
Yes, so obviously nurses, RPNs, physician assistants, nurse practitioners, clerical staff, there will be a lot of new hires that will help support this. And the other thing about these that I have to highlight is we need to offload the hospitals. The hospitals are absolutely being crushed right now by things that don't necessarily need to be in a hospital. Anything and everything that we can do to offload the hospital saves and protects our hospitals for acute care, which is what they're meant to do.
As for any concerns, this is another step towards privatized or 2-tier healthcare. Dowie and Saad say there's no need for such fears. The procedures are still publicly funded and covered by OHIP. Dawson Chen, CBC News, Windsor.
In other health news, in Canada and around the world, about 2/3 of people diagnosed with Alzheimer's are women. For years, researchers thought that's because women tend to live longer. But as Jennifer Yoon explains, scientists now say while age does play a role, there are other prominent risk factors as well.
She just kept on going. She never rested. She never really took much downtime.
Working 3 jobs, Sonia Cox refused to slow down most her life. But when Alzheimer's symptoms showed up, she deteriorated fast, says her daughter.
She forgot my dad first.
More women get diagnosed with Alzheimer's than men. For years, scientists assumed that was because women tend to live longer. Now, that understanding is changing. Researchers now think while age does play a role, so too do other risk factors.
We are really starting to discover that men and women are different in regard to the risk of dementia.
For example, the timing of key hormonal changes like menopause.
If the menopause is below age 40, we call it premature. And if it is between age 40 and 44, we call it early. And those are now being shown to be clear risk factors for cognitive decline and dementia.
But there's also so much scientists still don't know.
We're playing catch up at this time. Your task is to say whether you remember seeing the face.
This researcher searching for early signs of the disease through brain scans and blood samples.
We're trying to understand whether or not menopause is a window at which some females might be showing early signs of Alzheimer's disease, and whether we could capture them early so they could enter treatment and decide to alter their lifestyles to better age.
She actually had a full hysterectomy.
Looking back, Angelita now knows her mom was at greater risk for Alzheimer's because her ovaries were removed. That induces menopause and increased her risk of cognitive decline. It's led Angelita to change her choices.
I take better care of myself. I'm more aware of the hormonal challenges that I have. So when it became time for me to deal with my fibroids that I had, I chose not to have a full hysterectomy. Okay. I know you're going to make your punch.
Angelita works 2 jobs still, but she's trying to slow down and pass those habits down to her daughter. Jennifer Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
To sports now. Canadian tennis has a new superstar. Victoria Mboko is the new Women's National Bank Open champion. At 18 years old, she's fueling hopes for the future of Canadian tennis. CBC's Sarah Levitt reports.
What an amazing game, an amazing atmosphere here in Montreal last night with this epic win. I want to say that it was surprising, but if you had followed Victoria Mboko throughout this tournament, you know that she was a giant slayer. She just kept doing it one after the other. And in the end, with this win, it meant she won against 4 former Grand Slam champions. It was something to behold for the Montreal audience, who were often on their feet. And she even said that the morning of the match, she had to go to the hospital because in the semifinals, she had fallen over, landed on her wrist, hurt it a bit, taped it up. But in the morning, it was swollen. So she went to the hospital, got an MRI and x-rays. She got the green light to play, taped it up, but it wasn't the best it could be, and yet she still won. Here's what she had to say.
I just wanted to push through as much as I possibly could because I wanted it so badly, you know.
In the crowd, watching it all along, and always by her side through her tennis journey was her family, particularly her mom and dad, who, you know, their story is kind of inspiring. They are from the Democratic Republic of Congo. They fled there because of political issues. They went to the United States. That's where Victoria was born. And then they settled in Burlington.
I don't have words, so I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
Immediately after speaking with me, her mom went over just a couple meters from us and met the rest of the family, and they hugged, they danced, they cried, and members of the public came by and joined in. It was sort of a mini light mosh pit of celebration. But you know, really helping her along here was the hometown crowd.
Shelton's not sure what's going on.
We saw it in Toronto during the men's final as one of the players was meant to serve. A cheer went out. Both players were kind of confused. Ben Shelton going over to the chair umpire and saying, "What's going on?" Later, he crowned the champion in Toronto, put on Instagram, "I had no idea what happened, but happy winnings, Victoria." Meanwhile, this is what her father had to say about the Montreal crowd.
The best crowd ever I've never seen in my life. I love them. I think Victoria loved them.
So she has been brought in by all of Canada with this win. She says that she's going to take the time to relax, rest her wrist, and then you know what's on her mind? More tennis. The US Open is just around the corner. Sarah Levitt, CBC News, Montreal.
In other news now, we've certainly been feeling the impact of wildfire smoke from the west, and that means that our neighbors in Michigan are feeling it too, with leaders in the state now pointing fingers. But as Emma Loop reports, experts call their criticism narrow-minded.
Lawmakers across the border are taking aim at Canadian officials over wildfire smoke. Michigan Republicans blame the Canadian government for poor air quality. The 7 U.S. House representatives issued a joint statement this week, saying that instead of enjoying family vacations at Michigan's beautiful lakes and campgrounds, for the third summer in a row, Michiganders are forced to breathe hazardous air as a result of Canada's failure to prevent and control wildfires. The GOP lawmakers said the recurring crisis is putting public health at risk and urged Canada to take immediate and decisive action. But experts say the statement makes no mention of what's driving the surge in wildfires: climate change.
That is literally the 10,000-pound elephant in the room.
The GOP statement is the latest in a series of criticisms from Republicans targeting top Canadian officials over the wildfire smoke. The scoldings of Canada come as the Trump administration slashes environmental regulations and rolls back climate initiatives. An air quality expert at the University of Toronto says it's very ironic that the Republicans slamming Canada are those who support the administration's efforts.
And then on top of that, you know, it is sort of really narrow-minded to be not thinking about how climate change and other environmental regulations are being weakened. And those are the very things that we need to try to avoid this becoming even more common and even worse in the future.
The Canadian government is talking about climate change, however. Wildfire is a global problem directly attributed to the impacts of climate change, including prolonged drought, Natural Resources Canada said in a statement. It also said that all Canadian wildland fire agencies are fully engaged, including volunteers who continue to tirelessly work to protect lives and property. Brooke and Kaplan say the U.S. lawmakers don't seem to understand just how remote and enormous Canada's boreal forests are.
It's impossible to be up there trying to preemptively prevent fires from happening.
Kaplan said maybe the Canadian government should give the Republicans a tour of the North.
See how they feel after flying for 6 or 7 or 8 hours in the little propeller plane over vast areas of boreal forest. And then they might finally start to understand the scale of the problem.
The Canadian government warns that high wildfire activity is likely over the next 2 months. That's because of drought and warmer forecasts. Emma Loop, CBC News, Windsor.
Welcome back. Israel's security cabinet has approved a plan to take control of Gaza City, a move that has sparked world leaders to urge the country to reconsider. Even critics in Israel say the plan would endanger the lives of hostages. The CBC's Chris Reyes reports.
It's all that's left of Gaza City, rubble and tents. Those who live here are barely hanging on, and with Israel's plan to take it over, they could be forced to leave. Where should we go? This is shameful, says Sabrine Naim, who, like so many Gazans, has already been displaced many times since the start of the war. From leaders across the globe, disapproval.
It is going to put the lives of the hostages at greater risk.
Germany, a major arms supplier to Israel, says it will no longer export military equipment that Israel can use in the Gaza Strip. The EU and the UK urging Israel to reconsider their action. British Prime Minister Keir Starmer called the Israeli escalation wrong, saying it would only bring more bloodshed.
And it's very unclear how this serves Israel's long-term strategic objectives.
Ahead of his security cabinet meeting, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel doesn't want to govern Gaza.
We want to hand it over to Arab forces that will govern it properly without threatening us and giving Gazans a good life.
The plan also proposes disarming Hamas, demilitarizing the Gaza Strip, and the return of all hostages. Israeli officials say 50 remain, 20 are believed to be alive. The IDF would carry out the operation and deliver aid. Jerusalem resident Elena Mizrahi says the cabinet decision could put the hostages' lives at risk.
I think it's just a matter of protecting us, from future terrorists' infiltration again.
Humanitarian Shana Lowe's biggest fear, Netanyahu's plan, could be the final blow to Gaza.
It feels like this could be the moment where it all comes to an end, where Palestinian life in Gaza will not be sustainable at all.
Even in Gaza, despite the circumstances, there is the will to stay. Where should we go, says Sabrine Naim. I say let us die where we are. It is better. Israel already controls most of Gaza. Its latest plan would amount to an almost complete takeover of the enclave. Chris Reyes, CBC News, London.
As you heard there, Mark Carney was among the world leaders denouncing Israel's decision. Here's more of his response when questioned by reporters.
We join others, many others, in viewing that this is wrong, that this action is not going to contribute to an improvement in the humanitarian situation on the ground. It is going to put the lives of the hostages at greater risk rather than lessening it.
The Prime Minister also announced a pay increase for members of the Canadian military while visiting CFB Trenton.
All members of the Canadian Armed Forces will receive a pay raise. Specifically, there will be an 8% raise for colonels and above, a 13% raise for lieutenant colonels and below, and a 20% raise in starting pay for privates.
Ottawa says the plan also gives other forces members pay raises with smaller hikes for higher ranks. New military allowances are being created, including bonuses for those working in what Ottawa calls stressed occupations. The Prime Minister says the plan will boost recruitment, revitalize retention, and bolster operational readiness. Carney says the package will help get Canada to NATO's defense spending benchmark of 2% of GDP. And we're going to shift gears here. Parenthood could sometimes involve adopting a bit of a mask in front of the children, but this year might surprise you. The Prague Zoo is raising yellow-headed vulture chicks with puppet parents. It's part of a breeding program, and it became necessary when actual vulture foster parents stopped caring for incubator-hatched chicks properly. Direct contact with human caregivers would mean the chicks might start identifying with humans, threatening further breeding. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy will join us again after the break with your full weekend weather forecast, talking us through that heat warning and what to expect in the days ahead. Stay with us. Colette Kennedy is back now with more on weather. Colette, we are headed into the weekend with a lot of heat coming with it. So talk us through that.
Yeah, for sure. So this wave of heat pushing in, I mean, they've had all kinds of record-setting heat across the southwestern U.S., moving into the Midwest, and then that's just going to keep pushing our way. You could see some mid and even pushing towards the upper 30s there. We're not necessarily going that far, but I'll tell you, our humidex values will be getting up there around 40 or even beyond. And so that's why I just wanted to go over heat exhaustion. You know, once again, things to look for, the symptoms, a headache and or dizziness, nausea, thirst and or dark urine, intense fatigue. So really important to take breaks and stay hydrated. But then keeping in mind, some of the symptoms can be the same when we go into heat stroke, but a heat stroke is an emergency. It's a 911 call. So it may also have nausea and or some dizziness, but red and hot skin. Symptoms might include confusion, or if someone's losing consciousness, certainly they are bordering on or may have heat stroke. And so you want to take that very, very seriously, because this is going to be a multi-day event, all right? It's not, I know we've had several of these and it's like, okay, a couple days. Well, this is likely going to last for 5 days or so, with those temperatures in the 30s and those humidex values at times over 40. Current temperature, this is a more comfortable 29 degrees, although the humidex puts us there up at 38 and 37 for Sarnia. So you know what we're talking about. That's why I say that humidex value is going to get over 40 as we move forward, because Saturday's warmer than today, Sunday likely warmer than Saturday. Yes, a bit of rain, but it's mostly been to the north. Some of it heavier, some rainfall warnings, even a few thunderstorm warnings throughout the day. But that hasn't been in southwestern Ontario. It's just a little bit further north, kind of the closest being just south of Goderich there. So into tomorrow, any activity or lift, well, we do have the humid air there, so a trigger can bring it. But it looks like any chance of that is going to be more to the northeast, and that we stay dry. And this is an unfortunate thing because we certainly need the moisture. Parts of southern Ontario, you know, that fire danger is really starting to increase. So that's something to be mindful of too. All right, so 32 to 33 on Sunday. There's your humidex here. And again, I should put a plus after that 40. Monday, still into it. And keeping in mind those overnight lows are also on the very mild side, so it's really tough to kind of get a break in there, Katerina.
I'm honestly sweating after hearing you say all of that. Thank you so much, Colette.
I hear you.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. Stay cool.